So we had a question regarding how to solve a weight by volume percentage problem in pharmacy calculations. So the way that we're going to do this is we're going to look at first what information are they asking and what information are they giving, because it's going to be set up in one of two ways. The most common is going to be they're going to give us the amount of dry product, the actual mass of the drug itself, and they're going to give us the volume of the overall concentration, usually liquid, that it's mixed into. They're going to give us the amount of drug and the total end combined volume, and they're going to ask us what percent concentration that is. So in that case, we'll be solving for X, okay, to find a percentage. And the formula itself is very simple. The thing that you want to just keep in mind is that there is a very specific unit for each one of these values. For the mass and for the volume, you want to be using grams and milliliters respectively. This will not work if you are using milligrams, centigrams, liters, grams, pints. It must be grams and milliliters to follow this formula. And the other thing to keep in mind is that when you divide the weight of the drug in grams by the volume of concentration in milliliters, what you are going to get most often is a decimal answer. It's going to be 0.00. Okay, but we know to look at that and recognize that .xx is the same as saying XX%. Because how would we find, say, 2% of something? We would take that value and we would multiply it by 0.02. Okay, so we know that percentages can be expressed in a decimal form. All right, so bearing all that in mind, that it must be the correct unit, it must be grams for the mass, for the dry product weight of the drug, and it must be milliliters for the volume of the total combined concentration of liquid. And knowing that when we do that division problem, we are going to get a percentage expressed as a decimal. Okay, so we're going to have usually a 0 in a decimal place, and then a value out to the 100th place. Now, the quick mental math that we can do, we can either shove the decimal over 2 spaces to the right, or we can multiply by 100, which is doing the same thing to get us our percentage in a full integer value. If the word problem is giving you the weight of drug in grams and the volume of concentration in milliliters, and they want to know the percent, the steps are very simple. You divide one by the other, you get your answer in a decimal form, and you recognize that that is a percent, just expressed differently, and all you need to do is convert it to a percent for your answer, written as a percentage. And the way that you do that is multiply by 100 or move the decimal 2 spaces to the right. If you answer with the decimal form on a multiple choice on your PTCE, they will mark you wrong because it is not 0.02%, for instance, it is 2%, which can be expressed as a decimal 0.02 for multiplication purposes, or can be expressed as a percentage 2%. So you want to be careful with that. Now, if the problem is given to you sort of chopped and screwed, if you will, if they are giving you some of that information and withholding other parts and then giving you additional information, if they're giving you the volume of the concentration and giving you the percentage, then we're no longer solving for X, because this would not be X, it wouldn't be a mystery, it would be a number that they're giving us. They're telling us that this concentration, totaling up to this volume, is this percent of the given active ingredient drug. What they're going to then be asking for is they're going to be asking us to solve for Y, which is now the drug weight, the dry product that we don't know in grams. That's what we're going to be solving for. So if we know that in the more common original method, which is the reverse, We know that if we're doing weight in grams divided by volume in milliliters, we get the percent expressed as a decimal. And then it stands to reason that the percent expressed as a decimal times the volume in milliliters should give us the weight of the dry product drug in grams. You just want to be careful. Make sure that you're multiplying by the percentage expressed as a decimal, not by the raw integer value of the percentage. Okay? Because when we do the problem the original way, it's weight divided by volume equals percent expressed as a decimal. So we're going to do it the same way in reverse. We're going to do volume in milliliters, which we are given, times percentage, which we are given, but express it as a decimal. Even if the word problem does not convert it to a decimal for you, you take that extra step and convert it to a decimal, because that is the correct way to express it and set up your formula. And then that is going to give you the dry product weight of the drug. So these are going to be the two most common types of weight by volume problems that you get. So in this instance, we are given a question from a practice test asking how many 150 milligram clindamycin capsules are required to fulfill a compound that is supposed to be 480 milliliters, and of that it's 2% clindamycin. All this other information is irrelevant to solving our problem. We don't need to know that it's propylene glycol 5%, that it's isopropyl alcohol. None of this matters. The relevant information is here. It's the percent of drug, 2% clindamycin, and the overall end volume, 480 ml. That's all we need to know to set up this type of problem. Now, the step that we need to be really careful with is we need to recognize that they're giving us the percentage expressed as a full integer percent value, 2% clindamycin. We are not going to take 480 and multiply by 2. We're going to take 480, the volume in milliliters, and we're going to multiply by this in a decimal form. So instead of 2, it's going to be 0.02. So 480 okay, and that's going to give us 9.6. But what does that give us again? It gives us this value, y, that we're solving for, in grams. Now, is the problem asking us for grams? It's asking us for milligrams. Specifically, it's asking us for a quantity of capsules that are each 150 milligrams. So we still have a couple of steps left. We need to know that there are 1,000 milligrams in a gram. Okay, so 9.6 grams is going to be 9,600 milligrams. Okay, we're just going to multiply by 1,000. We're going to move the decimal place 3 spaces to the right. So now we're at least in a like format, using the same unit that they're going to be asking us for in the solution to the word problem. So they're asking for milligrams, or at least how many 150 milligram capsules, and now we're dealing with milligrams. So the only step we have left is to take this, the total amount of the drug, the total amount of clindamycin present in the 480 ml of concentration expressed in milligrams, and we're going to know that there's 150 milligrams in each capsule, and we have this much total. So how many capsules do we require to fill up to this volume of 480 ml? Well, we are simply going to take 9,600, we're going to divide by 150, and we're going to get 64 capsules. Okay, I hope you all found this helpful.